What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I am Lolise and we are gonna do another Vanderpump Rules recap. Oh my god, this episode was so insane. We're also gonna do some housekeeping before we get into it about just stuff that has been coming out, things that people have been saying, you know, all the extra added drama and tea that have been happening around the Scandival. But before we get into it, if you have not already, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get a notification every time I post. And please don't send anybody that we talk about in this video any hate, negativity, nothing like that. These are just my thoughts and opinions based on what I'm seeing play out on the internet. So if you have something to say about what we are talking about, shoot it down in the comments below. That's what they are there for. Okay. So I have started doing weekly Vanderpump Rules recaps. So last week we actually did a review of episode 5 of the season, which was Love Struck at Disco Pussy. I feel weird saying that, but that's the name of the club that they were at, okay? I didn't actually know that. So today we are gonna be recapping episode 6, which is Divorce Party Crashers. So let's get into it, but first I wanna go over some of our housekeeping stuff. Now I do have my handy pink Power Ranger notebook, and I have like several pages of notes. So let's get into it. So our housekeeping with this, and you might see me look down a little bit to like read this because I took a lot of notes. I didn't want to forget anything this time, but I'm sure I probably did because there's a lot. I also have terrible vision, so you might see me looking down a lot just because I'm like, what the hell did I write? So TMZ has actually been covering this whole situation like a lot, and also page 6, they have paparazzi looking out for all the cast members, especially Raquel, Tom, and Ariana, Sandoval, and Schwartz. So TMZ has been covering this, and they actually had some videos that were sent to them. They released these, and they were from, one was from last year and one was from February of this year. One is from a show that Tom actually did back in the beginning of November in, I think they said it was north of Sacramento, and there are photos and a video. Well, the photos are actually just stills from the video, but it is of Raquel being in attendance to the show, and no other Vanderpump Rules cast members were there. She was the only one there. She was actually with just like real life friends, and I read somewhere that at this show she was visibly drunk and seemed to be crying and said something like, why won't he, as opposed to like, why won't he leave Ariana for her, or something like that. I can't verify this part of the story just because I can't even remember where I read it, to be totally honest with you, but this picture from TMZ does show that she is at a show, in attendance at a show without anyone from the cast, so she went of her own accord, and they're saying that this is from November of last year. And then the other video and photos from that video are actually in an event that was at Tom Tom. It was like early February of this year. February, I think he said February 3rd, which is like the day before my anniversary. How cute. And in this video, they are around people, but Tom and Raquel are, you know, conversing. But this is from like a month ago, so they were definitely hooking up. So there's that, and then Tom Schwartz was actually caught in some airport by page 6. Now, Schwartz was actually on his way to start filming the show Winter House, which I have never watched before. Winter House is a spinoff of Summer House, which I've also never watched before. This show is just about a bunch of people that are friends and live together, and a lot of these Bravo celebrities become friends. So Tom actually went and is filming Winter House right now. Now, both Toms were actually supposed to go to Winter House, but apparently only Tom Schwartz is now going, as Sandoval just, you know, he can't be filming with this huge wreck that's going on in his life. I guess that also means that Schwartz is gonna like take some time off from filming Winter House, because if he's already there filming, which there have been photos of him filming, he has to go back to film the reunion next week, because that is filming the 23rd. Oh my god. So this guy from page 6 asked Schwartz how Sandoval's doing, and Sandoval is just so wishy-washy as usual. His entire like statement on how Tom is doing is completely contradictory, the entire thing.
Yeah. How's Tom holding up since everything?
He's okay, I think.
He's okay. Okay.
Relatively speaking, I mean, he has a sense of profound sadness.
Okay.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I think he feels like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And to some extent, maybe he is.
My favorite part of this interaction, though, is Tom asking the paparazzi guy how he's doing with all of this.
How do you feel about it?
He then goes on to say that he hopes Ariana is living the good life, you know, indulging, but, you know, she is the only one that he's really worried about. And I mean, he says that, but I don't really think that's true. I know he's worried about Sandoval as well, because that is his best friend, and business partner in multiple things at this point. And I bet Schwartz was actually really nervous to go into Winter House without Sandoval being present. That's kind of like his crutch. And Ariana just went to Mexico, so I'm sure she is living her best life. In fact, she actually just recently made a statement, which we will talk about in a minute, and she used a picture from Mexico where she looks gorgeous. Schwartz says he really just wants this whole thing to blow over, which once again, also typical Schwartz. He just wants to avoid any conflict happening, especially when he is somehow involved with it. Schwartz says he has not talked to Raquel or Sheena since this whole thing has started, so he doesn't know really anything about the punch to the face, the restraining order, none of it. He hasn't talked to them about anything. And then when the paparazzi guy asks him if he knew, Schwartz gives the answer of, well, you're gonna have to watch the show to find out. We know you knew at least a little bit before everybody else. Come on. The paparazzi guy also brings up how a lot of people have been saying that Schwartz's upcoming kiss with Raquel in the show was kind of like a decoy. And he says he was not in on any plan for being a decoy for their relationship. And if that was the case, then he was an unknowing pawn in their game. After watching this episode and like the very last clips, I could totally see Sandoval and Raquel like manipulating and doing that. I also listened to a bunch of podcasts this week from Sheena, Kristen. Did I listen to Stassi's? I don't know. I listened to Lala's. I think I listened to Stassi's. Pretty much y'all just said the same thing and regurgitating like most of what we already know and most of what I'm talking about here as well. So there wasn't any like new information, but there was actually a podcast who was by Sheena's friends, and I think I'm gonna go back and like really listen to this podcast because I actually just read an article that had like clips, like quotes. So this podcast, like I said, is by Sheena's friends. It is by her friend Jamie Lynn and Kyle Ramsey. Anderson? Is that his last name? But they have some very interesting information on when they think the Tom and Raquel thing really took off. So like I said, there was an article written about it. I think I am gonna go back and listen to that podcast to see like everything that was said because I feel like there's a lot more interesting tea there. I wanted to read this Us Weekly article to you because it kind of breaks down some of the like most interesting stuff. So this was in Us Weekly, and it says Raquel Leviss says her Tom Sandoval affair began after Pump Rules Las Vegas trip, Sheena Shea's pals claim. Creating a timeline. Sheena Shea's friends Jamie Lynn and Kyle Ramsey Ackerson, not Anderson, recall the moment Tom Sandoval and Raquel Leviss's relationship began to change. During the Tuesday, March 14th episode of Jamie All Over podcast, the duo broke down their knowledge of the Vanderpump Rules co-stars' affairs. According to Ackerson, Leviss said the cameras were rolling when she started to grow closer to Sandoval, who's 40. She basically told me it happened 7 months and after the Las Vegas trip, he explained, referring to the episode we're actually going to be talking about tonight. I told her, bro, you literally called me an hour or two after the girls made you cry and then you hit me back that you were in Los Angeles. She was like, after boys' night is when we got closer. Lynn, for her part, broke down the behind-the-scenes details of the night Leviss joined Schwartz, Sandoval, and James Kennedy on an outing. Next episode of Vanderpump Rules is boys' night. You and I were there. Afterwards, you went home and I went to Saddle Ranch with Raquel, Sandoval, and Brett, who is Schwartz and Sandy's manager. You were there because Raquel had just gotten back from Vegas and was upset and asked you to come out that night. It somehow just ended up being the four of us going to Saddle Ranch after, and Raquel and Tom were super into deep conversation at the bar. After the friends left the bar, Lynn said she witnessed a serious conversation between Leviss and the Tom co-owner. I'm now in my car with Brett, and Raquel and Sandoval were sitting on the curb outside of Saddle Ranch just talking. I didn't realize at the time like how close they were talking or how intimate it actually looked, so I started filming the two of them talking. We were so clueless that we had no idea what was actually transpiring. Shay's friend recently rewatched the August 2020 video after the news broke. I had this thought at the time, I'm not gonna post this because this looks way too intimate and I don't want Ariana to feel a certain way about this. I don't want her to feel disrespectful, but it didn't set off alarm bells like something inappropriate was happening. Just was she might get the wrong idea and I didn't want to put anybody in that position. Lynn concluded, if you watch it back without the voiceover on it, it looks super close and super intimate. But the bottom line is none of us knew beforehand. And then the article talks about how Ariana and Tom broke up because of finding out, and it goes into both Tom and Raquel's apologies. And then they also talk about the restraining order that Raquel has put on to Sheena. And when it comes to the restraining order, there's now a lot of confusion as to if they are both able to appear on it. Now, I think it was Emily D. Baker was the person that broke this down, but this could have come from other people as well. But apparently in the paperwork filing for the restraining order against against Sheena. Raquel did not actually check off the box that says no contact. Now, we all just assume that it would be no contact because usually that's what restraining orders are. I don't know what else a restraining order does, you know, other than like make it so you can't contact or come in close proximity of the other person. So that's weird. But apparently that box wasn't checked. However, I mean, I have seen reports that no, this restraining order still put out says no contact, do not come within 100 yards. So I am no lawyer, so I'm still not 100% sure how they're going to do the reunion. They might just have to really schedule them tightly to have like the beginning, first couple parts. Because you know it's going to be like a 3 or 4 part reunion, right? Have like the first couple parts, have Sheena, because sure, Sheena is getting married this season, but like Sheena's already gotten married on Vanderpump Rules, first of all, so it's not like that big of a deal to me. And she really hasn't had much storyline. You're not seeing her plan the wedding. Like today, she had mostly pointless scenes, except for when she decided to plan guys' night. So she either just comes in and is a little bit of a stir or has a completely pointless scene. I mean, Sheena's like a nice person, I'm sure, and is a great mom and everything like that, but I don't really see, I mean, I guess I see a little bit of the value that she adds to Vanderpump Rules, but like overall the show would probably be okay without her. Anyway, that was my rant about Sheena, but they could totally schedule this where Sheena goes first. She has her moments where she is defending herself and talking about her wedding and going over her whole package. The other half being Raquel coming in separately and answering to the group and just making sure that they keep them apart and maybe even spacing like an hour gap in between, you know? And just today, Ariana broke her silence. Well, maybe it was last night. I don't really know. Like the middle of the night or something. But Ariana posted, she came back to Instagram. She posted a gorgeous picture of her at her friend's trip in Mexico. And she says, "Hi, where to begin? I want to express my most sincere gratitude for the outpouring of love and support I've received from friends, family, and people I've never even met in the last 2 weeks. When I felt like I couldn't even stand, you all have given me the strength to continue and have seen me through my darkest hours." Oh my God, Ariana, I'm gonna cry. To say I have been devastated and broken is an understatement. However, I know that I am not in this alone. So many of my closest friends are also grieving this loss right now and am reeling from this betrayal on so many levels. I am lucky to have the best support system in the world, and I hope I can repay every single person for the love you have shown me. What doesn't kill me better run. Love, Ariana. I have tears in my eyes, first of all, but then she ended it with, what doesn't kill me better run. Ooh, okay, I can't wait to see next season already. It's going down. We still gotta get through this season. Okay. And Sheena Shea commented, "There she is, fire emojis." Kristen said, "I love you, baby cakes. You are slaying life, and your support squad is here for your trust fall." James Kennedy leaves a bunch of fire and clappy emojis. Katie says, "You're a force. Love you." Stassi says, "Regal stuff right here." And Pump Rule said, "Okay, queen." And also, I forgot to give credit for the video from Page 6. I saw it on their Instagram, and the recording that I used obviously is of them. It has their tag in it and everything. They are an awesome Instagram account. Totally go follow them for all of the tea, because that is where I get a lot of this. This person is doing the Lord Whitney's work when it comes to collecting all of the receipts. So thank you, Pump Rules, for IG. I'll link their Instagram below, actually, too. And before we get into this week's episode, Andy Cohen actually had to do a public announcement saying, look, when you watch this week's episode, you're gonna think that we went back and edited this based on everything that's been coming out. This episode was edited weeks ago before any of this broke. I actually watched it several weeks ago. Nothing has been changed. Nothing has been re-edited. And you know, that put everybody on the edge of their seat for this episode. He said that on like Sunday or Monday. Yeah, if he hadn't said that, I would have 100% assumed this was all re-edited. So we are still at girls' night in Las Vegas. They've all left the club. They're going back to their rooms. They're all pretty drunk, but Raquel is definitely the most wasted. And Raquel actually gets the first confessional of the episode, saying this is the best girls' night she's ever had. She doesn't usually go on these vacations, but like, this is amazing. So after they all get back, they get into their PJs, and Katie and Lala are chilling in bed together. Raquel comes in to, I don't know, she's like asking about food. I think she's asking where there's a microwave or something. I don't know. They just kind of shoo her away, tell her where it is, and the annoyance that's all over their faces as she leaves. Then Christina Kelly comes in, and the two are relieved that it is not Raquel coming in, and you know, she hops into bed with them. Lala says in a confessional that Raquel is very sloppy and she wouldn't trust her around her man. And then in real time, the girls are starting to gossip about, like, did Raquel make out with Oliver? Because apparently they they couldn't actually see it. And Katie names her Miss I'm gonna make out with your man. God, I am like only 4 minutes into this episode. So Raquel comes back in wasted. She's got all of her leftovers. She's cooked all of their leftovers into one. Anyway, they ask Raquel if she did kiss a guy, and you know, she is obviously very drunk, and she says, yeah, she kissed Oliver. Katie says, you know, Lala was supposed to kiss him, and Lala's like, no. And Raquel actually says, I thought she was supposed to kiss him too. Girl, oh my God. Christina Kelly just hides under the blanket, which would be me. And Lala says, no, I gave Raquel the green light to go ahead. But you know, they could all tell that Lala was into him and thought it was kind of shady that Raquel seemed to become interested in him once Lala showed interest. Katie's saying that she sees a pattern with Raquel of if it's your boyfriend, your ex-husband, or somebody that you're just have a crush on, you're interested in, Raquel is gonna go after that guy.
Never. I mean, like, thank God you don't have a man to like and her. What? Oh my God, Raquel.
Like, girl, that sounds like literal confirmation of what everybody was worried about, but we now know that, you know, it's all true. But you know, hindsight, it's always 2020, right? This is like such a prime example of hindsight is 2020, like this conversation and episode specifically. And apparently this is actually all before she started hooking up with Sandoval. Remember Jamie Lynn in that podcast said the hooking up started after they got back, but this is right before. So she's having all these conversations and interactions right before she goes and does like a very ultimate betrayal. She takes it steps further. So the girls are shocked by this response, rightfully so, and they start to get upset, but then Lala says, you know what? She is drunk. We gotta shut this down. Let's just all go to bed. We can have this conversation tomorrow, but like we should not be doing this now while she's obviously bombed. And basically Raquel is the only one that leaves the room, and they sit and gossip a little bit for just like, they cannot believe that she said that. They're still reeling from it. And then Katie realizes, oh my God, all my stuff is in Raquel's room. So Christina Kelly steps up, she mans up, and she goes into Raquel's room to get her cosmetics bag so she can brush her teeth. And she discovers Raquel in there listening to music and has this big galaxy star projector thing. Well, it's not big, but it like fills the entire room with like all these cool colors. It's cool and everything. Christina Kelly comments that the only other person she's seen have this is a 3-year-old. I think it's weird that she packed this on a trip. Like, I don't know, when I go on a trip, like the last thing I'm thinking about is like the star projector for my room. I'm thinking more about like, how can I fit more clothes in here? So Christina Kelly grabs a cosmetic bag, goes back to the room that Katie and Lala are in and tells them all about it. And then they start calling her crazy and gossiping about her and saying like, lock your door, she's gonna kill us. Giggling, all the while Raquel, drunk Raquel, is around the corner hearing all of this. And she does remember this part later. Next day, the girls wake up and they are gossiping with Katie, who apparently was texting the guy that she met at the bar the previous night. And the conversation between the three of them quickly turns to Raquel and wondering if she even remembers the night before. Lala says she is not judging Raquel for being drunk and saying something off the rails. She is apprehensive because now Raquel has shown that she is unpredictable. This is just so funny coming from Lala. Raquel comes in and she's all awkward and she says like she's embarrassed. She doesn't remember exactly what happened the previous night, but she knows she said something that was offensive and upsetting. They really ask her like, do you feel fine with taking someone else's man? Do you feel like there's ever justification for that? And she says no. Bold-faced lie. And then Lala lectures her about showing respect to relationships, which as she was doing this, I was like, this is really rich coming from her because yeah, we can of course say, well, the father of her child was a married man when she met him. Yes. But also she's lecturing Raquel when she just came clean about hooking up with her ex-fiance while she was dating her ex-fiance. I don't really know if she has room to talk. But, and also Lala even brings up the fact that she hooked up with James and says it hurt, didn't it? Yeah, okay. But you know, Lala respects relationships. I mean, girl has 2 strikes already that we know of. And actually Raquel says a lot of this in her confessional as well, that she feels like Lala's being really hypocritical about all of this. And then the girls pack up to leave the Paris Hotel in Vegas because they are going to be driving to Lake Havasu, which I thought was in Nevada. It's not. It's in Arizona. I had no idea. Like, I've never even looked of Lake Havasu. And also, they have lakes in Arizona? I had no idea. I thought it was all desert. Then we get a little flashback to Los Angeles to see like the juxtaposition of what's going on with Schwartz. We're at Schwartz's apartment and Sheena is there. She has hired a stylist to help Schwartz kind of like get his groove back. And they're going through his closet. Tom is finding a lot of memories of Katie, like couples costumes, clothing that she bought him or like they picked out. And Sheena starts pushing for him to get rid of all of this, to throw it away or donate it. And the stylist can see that this is making Schwartz uncomfortable, that there's sentimental attachment to this stuff. And she says, look, we can put it in like an archival box instead so you can still have it. We also, as the girls are driving to Lake Havasu, we get a more personal conversation of how Katie is dealing with a divorce and moving on and how much of an adjustment in her life that is and how she always just holds so much of it in. So it's hard for others to even tell how she's really doing. Then back at Schwartz's apartment, Sheena says, hey, you know what? Katie is having a divorce girls party weekend. Why don't you have a divorce guys night? I'll throw you a guys night. Sheena's gonna sponsor a guys night for Tom Schwartz. Obviously, Sheena is doing this just to spite Katie, to make her upset. So vindictive. And of course, with this guys night, Sheena's gonna go, so it's guys night plus Sheena. But I guess Sheena's the sponsor of this night, so. Schwartz is afraid that having it be a guys night means he has to get sloppy drunk and make out with somebody, which you know is what Sheena wants. Then we are back in the car with the girls still driving, and we start hearing more from Raquel about the breakup with James and actually how horrible it sounded, and he flipped out on her father and said horrible things about both of them and to them on Thanksgiving. And that was just kind of like the final straw, which disrespecting me and my family with some of the things that she said that he said is just, yeah, I don't blame her at all. And through that, because she was young when she got into a relationship with James, now she's struggling to find out who she is. She's like, little girl lost in LA. I would have had sympathy for her in this if like all of this other stuff hadn't come out since, but she starts crying. Everyone else starts feeling really bad for her. They pull over, and then Raquel starts to go into a full-blown panic attack until the other ladies are able to calm her down and build her back up. And they actually are really supportive of her in that moment, even though I'm sure part of the anxiety she was feeling was also related to the fact that she heard them just talking shit about her the night before. And then the ladies arrive at their rental in Lake Havasu. It's beautiful. And then another person named Charlie shows up and meets him there. Charlie, they tried to make her a cast member a couple seasons ago, but like nobody liked her. I didn't like her. Honestly, I just don't trust somebody who says they've never had pasta. Like, how can you have lived in the world and have never had pasta? So I don't like her because she lied about never eating pasta in her life. But maybe the pasta was a euphemism for something else. So we see the quick flash of Charlie joining them, and then we get flashback to Los Angeles at Tom Tom. Then we get a flashback to LA. We see the Toms making the rounds at Tom Tom, you know, schmoozing and everything. They sit down, and Sandoval in a confessional complains about the other bar, how right now it's kind of feeling like a money pit, whereas Tom Tom is open and is actually bringing in income. They sit down at the bar, and the Toms talk business, financial stuff, including an offer that Lisa Vanderpump made to them, and which was them getting their initial investment back from the bar with the option to buy back in as their partners in the future. It seems like they're not gonna go through with that, which I think is probably smart. Like, you're always gonna be getting income from this. Like, don't take your money out of it to put into something that is not making you any money right now. Then James arrives to the bar and they make him a drink. So Schwartz tell them about guys night and that Sheena is planning it. James says he doesn't want to be around Raquel. His girlfriend doesn't want him to be around Raquel. He doesn't want to be around his ex anymore, which I totally get. Like, I don't really want to be around my exes. And he also says in his confessional, like, why is she still here? Like, she wouldn't even be friends with the Toms, with the girls, with anybody if it wasn't for me. Like, why can't she just go away? Oh, and by the way, I did notice that Tom Sandoval was wearing his lightning bolt necklace in this scene, but, you know, they said that the relationship hasn't started yet. And then back in Lake Havasu, the ladies, all 5 of them, go out for drinks at a pretty swanky looking place, and they tell Charlie all about the previous night, like all about it. And it starts getting very heated, and Raquel decides, she's gonna stand up for herself, saying all this stuff, and she's like, but you hooked up with my boyfriend. You were a mistress. You were with a married man. You're a hypocrite, Lala. Lala argues that, like, look, she hooked up with James Kennedy 6 years ago and she was drunk. And Raquel's like, well, I was drunk last night when I made out with Oliver. Like, I was drunk both of the times that you guys are coming at me. So how is your argument different than my argument? She didn't even have sex with anybody. She offered to make out with one person and then did make out with another. And also when it comes to the whole James and Lala hooking up, sure, that happened 6 years ago and they've had time to move on from it, but Raquel only learned about it, like, I would think like a couple weeks prior to this, because we just found out about it in this season just like 2 or 3 episodes ago. So for Raquel, it's pretty much like it just happened. And this argument is just getting out of hand. It's just back and forth. It's just more regurgitation of Raquel saying, you're a hypocrite. You were with a married man. You hooked up with my boyfriend. Katie saying, you tried to make out with my ex-husband, who I am still technically married to. So what's the difference? It just like gets so blown up that eventually Lala, Katie, and Christina Kelly leave the restaurant. And the real thing that set it off was Lala is triggered by being called a mistress because she says, look, I was told that my ex, that he was separated from his wife legally. I was lied to, so why do I get the label of mistress when my ex gets nothing? And then you get like lots of B-roll from previous seasons of everybody in the cast giving Lala crap for her ex being married. So those three storm out and Charlie just loves this whole scene because she doesn't like these girls anyway, apparently. So why did she even come? But she like gives Raquel a high five for starting all that drama. We get a cute short little scene of Lisa Vanderpump reaching out to Ariana, giving her condolences about her dog Charlotte. It's short but sweet, and I wish we had more of that, to be honest with you. Like I said, we also get a couple other pointless scenes. Like there's a pointless scene with Sheena and her husband and her daughter where she's basically like, we're Team Tom, boys night, woo! And then we're at the next day on the girls trip after the fight went down and the girls kind of separated on their trip. The 3 girls are on a balcony somewhere complaining about Raquel and how Raquel has ruined this trip. I mean, all about her and her crappy actions. And Charlie and Raquel are complaining about how they just don't like this. They're not having fun. These girls suck and they want to go back to Los Angeles. Raquel also heard from Sheena that Sheena's throwing boys night for Schwartz and all the guys are going to be there. So Raquel wants to go and hang out with Schwartz and Sandoval and Sheena, and they're gonna leave early. So they decide to go and tell the other 3 girls, we're leaving early. Raquel says, I don't feel comfortable here and I am gonna go to boys night with Schwartz and Sheena. After all the conversations that you've had over the past weekend about how they don't feel comfortable with you being around exes and stuff, you're gonna blatantly tell them to their face, look, I'm gonna go hang out with your ex-husband, the one I asked to make out with a few weeks ago, that I know you don't like me hanging around because you're still technically married and it's still a really fresh open wound for you, but I'm gonna go do it, but I'm gonna tell you about it. And of course the 3 women react, because how are you not gonna react to that? And then Raquel says that Lala is petty and bitter because she didn't pull Oliver the previous night, and then they leave. And it is quite evident that Raquel has now entered her villain era. She gives 0 Fs. Everything else up until this point was just the warm-up. So they leave and Christina Kelly, Katie, and Lala go on, well, they said it was a boat, but like, is it a dock? Is it a boat that's docked? I don't know, but they are having fun. We get a lot of B-roll of them partying with like a bachelor party next to them. Seems like a pretty tame bachelor party, not gonna lie. So good for them. They're not like getting all like buck wild right before he gets married. And it's just like a lot of B-roll of them swimming around. Back in LA, we actually get a scene with Ariana and Tom. They are going to Schwartz and Sandy's to meet with some of the business partners to have like a menu taste testing to see like what they really officially want on the menu. Super short scene, get to see some food, makes me kind of hungry. And then the Tom-Toms are off to boys night. Back in Lake Havasu, we get the scene of the Tom Schwartz pinata. Lala and Christina Kelly surprise Katie with it, and Katie beats that thing's head off in like 2 seconds. It's full of little tequila shooters, condoms, and a vibrator. The vibrator's not even in a box either, it just like falls on the cement. So like, I hope nobody uses that. I don't need to know though, I don't need to know. Then things continue to get deep with Katie just about like like, what does she want in a partner moving forward, that she, you know, she says she wants somebody who makes her a priority because Tom never did. And also just how she's doing with the divorce, like how much things have changed, like that she misses certain aspects of the relationship. And the girls' weekend, it does end with them going to a very eclectic seeming country western bar in Arizona. Like everybody's like wearing cowboy hats and stuff, but then there's like a furry with like bondage straps on dancing and a dude with like a spiked mohawk. So like I said, it's a very eclectic bar. And Lala sees some hot guys, goes up to them, finds out they're actually from Los Angeles or like from their area as well. So she invites him back to the table, gets all flirty with one of the guys. And yeah, it's kind of how the girls' weekend ends in this episode. So the rest of the episode, we're going to focus on it being guys' night because it's kind of like competing scenes back and forth. So it's guys' night plus Sheena. Sheena comments saying like Katie only has like 2 friends with her, and you know, Schwartz has 10 people here. And when I counted, there was only 6 people, including Sheena and Schwartz. And I know one of those guys is actually Schwartz's employee, so I don't really know if that even like technically really counts. James also shows up and they start gossiping about the girls' trip. James says Lala called him and told him all the crazy stuff Raquel's been doing and how stuff is going down and how they actually left early. Then shortly after, Raquel and Charlie actually show up to guys' night and James is visibly upset. He specifically said he did not want to be around Raquel. He said his girlfriend's gonna be mad at him because I'm assuming he probably told her that she wasn't gonna be there either. Didn't have to worry about her. She was like far away. And she shows up and she plops down right next to Schwartz. Sandoval looks at them like a silent movie villain. He's just got this like knowing grin on his face and everything just starts moving in a slow motion. And then that's the end of the episode. Yeah, if Andy Cohen had not made that announcement, I would 100% would have thought this whole episode had been went back and re-edited or reshot even. And the fact that there is an entire episode focused around the fact that people do not trust their significant others around Raquel because they feel like Raquel will make a move on their significant others or people that they have interest in. And then right after the filming of this, she actually starts an entire months-long affair with somebody. Girl's got problems. Like, I hope she really did actually seek some help for whatever these issues are that she has, like she did say in her like apology. You know, it's like Schwartz said.
I can't write this shit.
Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video and my next recap. Laters. Bye.